Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Hope you're all having a fabulous day. I've just been down the beach. It's a nice, balmy 35 degrees over here on the west coast. So, Ashley and I thought it would be really nice to pop in because we haven't really had a chat in great detail since the start of the school year. So I hope you're really having a smooth transition into 2021 and getting to know your students. It definitely can be a hectic first few weeks getting to know your students, meeting the parents, starting to set up those routines and so forth. Now, on our group, we put up a little poll to find out what's on your teacher mind. Now, it seems like there are two front runners at the moment, which is about fitting in all the teaching and as well reading groups. Now, Ashley and I have something really exciting in the pipeline. We're actually putting together a really simple step-by-step system to follow for setting up your reading groups. So we're going to be launching that. Gosh, I don't even know, it might be next month, this really great simple to follow system for setting up your reading groups. So I'm not going to talk too much about reading groups unless someone pops in today during our live. And if you've got any questions, hit them up in the comment box. I'm hoping my computer is working today. I was trying to get on to do a live yesterday and technology had other ideas. So let's talk about fitting in all things teaching. It is the constant battle teachers have, is trying to cram in the curriculum and provide quality teaching to our students. So we just wanted to give you a few little tips on how to overcome that feeling of overwhelm when you're like, oh, I can't fit it all in, the time's ticking, I'm getting to the end of term, we haven't covered this, or I've got to cover this for an assessment. It's usually during those times you need to take a step back and have a breather. So our first little suggestion when you're trying to fit in all things teaching is to manage your expectations. Something that a mentor teacher taught me was you're going to have students who walk away at the end of a lesson or multiple lessons not grasping the skill or concept, and that is perfectly fine. If you have a success rate of 70% of the students understanding what you're teaching them, excellent. The other 30%, that's fine. They're going to catch up, and that's why you cover the curriculum repeated times throughout the year. So manage those expectations and focus on the students who are making those gains, and those students who aren't yet quite there, just keep consolidating and filling up their bucket, and they're eventually going to get there. So really managing those expectations and expectations upon yourself, which can be the hardest thing. That's our first little advice there. The other thing is to be flexible. You might find you've put a system in place and it may not be attainable. I guess it could be, say you're focusing on spelling and you're trying to do it every day, but trying to squeeze in these spelling lessons every day are starting to stress you out. The kids are picking up on it. That's where you go, you know what? I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to make some slight changes. Perhaps I just do spelling 3 times a week, and let's see how that goes. And if that's still a bit too much or you're finding it's not attainable, pull it back a little bit more, and then that leads in nicely to talking about how you can bring in consolidation of concepts and skills during your rotations. So if you've got a literacy block, use that time to recap over skills that you've taught students and get them to consolidate it through independent group work. You can do the same with your maths groups. If you're finding you've got a group who are really not understanding place value or number sense, but you've got to move on to fractions, you can have one of your groups and rotations covering over that math skill. You can incorporate it into your warm-up. Remember, you don't need to fill every moment of the day with just one skill. Everything's going to be interwoven. So using your maths groups, your literacy groups, and I even love to use my morning time. I will find that at the schools I've been teaching, we have maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes where students are drip feeding in through the door. It also allows us to get settled for the day. And I might have some activities that are covering over a concept that the students might have found tricky, and they can do a bit of work on it. And as well, I can actually go around, have a chat, find out about how their day's been or how their morning's been or how their weekend was, but also see, I notice you're doing this, this, this. Hey, let's see if we can take it to the next level, or maybe we should practice over that skill because I'm noticing there's something there you could work on a bit more. So using those times, but as well creating it in that comfortable environment where you're not feeling under the pump and you've got that time to make those solid connections and focus. So it doesn't always have to be that specific set lesson time. I've got some notes up here, so I'm like, The next one is when you look at your calendar at the start of the term, have a look at any events that are going to impact on your teaching. So you might have swimming lessons that are coming up during the first 4 weeks. So you might find in week 3 and 4, you've got swimming lessons and it's smack bang in the middle of your maths time. So try not over plan, okay? Just go, all right, I know I've only got a 30-minute block of solid teaching, so I don't need to try and cram everything in. I want to make sure that I've got really quality teaching. So I'm going to make sure I do some really great explicit teaching during that time, even if it's at the start of the week. And then by the end of the week, when they start to run out of puff, I can have some activities and rotations in place. You might find you've got an excursion coming up, or there could be like harmony days coming up this term. So if your school's doing an event for the day, you don't want to over cram or over plan for that week, especially for that specific day. Really take the time to be flexible and relish that event and really bring in that life learning about what's happening outside of the classroom. That's really going to be beneficial for you. It's going to make you, I guess, more relaxed, hopefully, that you can enjoy the experience without going, oh my gosh, I had this plan, but we can't get it done. Be like, you know what? We'll just roll that over to next week and go from there. Another great one that Ashley has shared is looking at your program as a wish list. Teachers, we are great at over planning. Well, I guess some of us could be very good at over planning and putting it down in documentation form, and others have these great ideas that they want to try and incorporate and get a bit frustrated when they don't meet those expectations in the program. That's why we look at that program as a working document. That's why we suggest you go back over and you reflect on it. You make anecdotal notes, you make any changes and adjustments, and it's going to change. If you do the exact same program the next year, it's going to change depending on the cohort of students you have as well. So look at that program as your wish list. If you don't manage to achieve everything that you wanted to, the same as if you've got a pacing guide set up, you can go, all right, great. I know next term I get to cover this for the first 2 weeks. I've actually kind of got it planned, so I don't need to use my holidays trying to cram in planning. So look at those positives in terms of that program and it being a wish list. And you might find some terms, say with your history or even your science or even elements of your maths, you manage to master and achieve all that you had planned, which gives you that really great amount of data that you can use to then plan your next term. So look at that program as a wish list. Another thing to do, and I probably learnt this when I was working with international baccalaureate schools doing the PYP program, which is great. And what it did teach me is that how you can combine the curriculum. So you can incorporate different subjects into a project that you might have. So say, for example, you're looking at an element of your design and technology and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't covered that at all this term. You might actually find that there's elements where you can incorporate that in with your science or your HAS. And then there's even elements where you can be incorporating parts of your maths, parts of your English and writing. Now you might go, all right, but how do I assess all that? We're not saying if you're looking at maths, it's a fine little element where you might go, I can actually pinpoint some measurement and do it in a different way and incorporate that with my design and technology. Or perhaps you're looking at forces in science and go, oh great, if we're creating catapults, then I can use that as part of my science, but also look at the design and technology and just the materials outcome. So when you're incorporating many subjects into a project, you just want to fine tune and pick some of those outcomes. Because as you know, even as a teacher in a certain grade, you're not always going to tap in specifically excellent finite teaching into every single outcome for that year level. It's really not attainable. And that's why the benefits of the curriculum is that they're always recapping over skills and building on the layers as they move through the years. There's a reason why they're always covering addition from pre-primary all the way up to year 12, because we know that students need that consolidation and exposure, and the complexities of it increases as they go through the years. So do not panic if you're there going, I didn't teach it that well. It's okay. They're going to get exposed to it again with the next teacher, which comes down to less is more. When you're feeling that overwhelm and you're going, I cannot get all the teaching done, it's a time for you to take a check, take a breath, and go, you know what? If I am doing awesome quality teaching, it doesn't matter the amount of quantity I'm exposing them to. You'd rather do quality teaching than do a heap of exposure to different outcomes and teach it poorly. So use your explicit teaching time to really target those tricky spots or those areas your students are finding challenging, and really put in the quality teaching behind it. That is going to really help you take that grasp and go, I know I've taught that well. And you can go in with that confidently, knowing when they get exposed to it, or I expose it to them again in the next term, I'm going to feel confident that they will have the skills to be able to apply it at a higher level, or even continue to apply that skill. So less is more sometimes. I think especially if we talk to new teachers who are, say, covering literacy blocks and they're just trying to do it all. It's like, say, you've got your year twos, but you really want to focus on your phonological awareness and their fluency, rather than trying to cover all the things with grammar and writing and different genres. Just go, you know what, this first half of term 1, I'm really going to focus on our spelling and looking at simple sentence structures. Just really strip it back and do that quality teaching. And then you find once they've nailed those foundations, it makes it so much easier for you then to build up the complexity, and then focusing on your adjectives and incorporating compound sentences if you're looking at writing and so forth. So sometimes less is more. Just pull back. It's going to make you feel a lot calmer, and the students are going to pick up on that. And there is one other thing, is marking. Sometimes we're trying to fit in all the teaching and we're thinking we have to do all this marking and we have to be assessing and annotating and recording. Sometimes that can really impact on your ability to fit it all in. I'm going to put a little link to a blog post here. I'm still noticing there's no comments, and if they're coming through, I do apologize. I can't see anything here, but we'll put up a link to our blog post on marking tips, because when it comes down to it, marking can take up a huge chunk of your time as a teacher. But remember, there are moments where you don't need to be marking everything, especially I like to with my explicit teaching. I use this with the younger years and the older students, is using whiteboards for them to document their thinking. It creates that safe space for them where they know I can easily erase it, especially if you've got those students who may have those perfectionist tendencies or be afraid to make mistakes. There are also elements where you can be getting kids to take photographs and just sharing it. They can just do an activity and you have a quick look and go, awesome, great. I'll make a mental note, note that down. They're able to grasp that skill. Using your personalized stamps and so forth. So have a think about as well, is your marking impacting on that element of you feeling like I can't fit all this teaching in? How do I get all this documentation and so forth? So to recap, manage your expectations. It's okay if not every student walks away with a lesson mastering that skill. Be flexible. If things aren't going as planned with your program or with your timetable, make some slight adjustments, pull back. It is okay. Look at your calendar and have a look if there's any events that are going to impact on your teaching for that week or the following weeks, and try not to overplan to stress yourself out. Have a look at your program as a wish list. This is a really great way to look at it as, I'm going to hopefully achieve that and get to that point. And if you don't, roll it over to the next term. Try and combine subjects into projects, looking at how, especially in the older years, we love how you can incorporate your history and your science into your reading, into your writing, into your literacy, and even elements of your design and technology and even digital technologies, and elements of maths too. So have a look at even those STEM and how you can incorporate so much rich learning in a project and task covers across the curriculum. Remember that less is more. do your quality teaching. It's not about the quantity and getting through it really quick. And focus on that quality teaching. And the last one is have a little check over your marking systems in place and see if that's impacting a bit on your ability to fit in all the teaching. So I hope that is helpful. If you've got any comments or questions, please make sure you just comment and we can get back to it through the week. As well, all those people who have questions about reading groups, we are coming out with our Transform Your Reading Groups program. But if you've got any questions in the time being, hit us up in the comment box and would love to see what's on your mind and see if we can help you as we start to move through term 1. Thanks for checking in today and we'll see you soon.